All right, this is the math homework P175 for Chapter 10, Lesson 6. Let's take a look. So the first one was done for us. We have a hexagon here, so that means we had 6 triangles. Then they did 1/2 times the base 8 times the height 7. They got 28, and then they took the 28 and multiplied it by how many triangles they had, 6, and they got 168. So we're doing the same thing. So number 2, how many triangles? 1 right here. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be 5. So we have 1 triangle here, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5-sided figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 triangles. Then we do the same thing they did, 1/2 times the base is 9 times the height is 6.2. Okay. Now in this case, I know what half of 9 and what half of 6.2 is. So again, if you have your number sense, you can just look, well, half of 6 is 3, half of 2 is 1, so that's going to be 3.1 times 9. So let's do that math, 3.1 times 9. I have 1 number behind the decimal here, no numbers behind the decimal there. So I'm going to move my decimal over 1. I know my answer is going to be about 27, and it'll be a little higher than 27. Because 9 times 3 would be exactly 27, and 3.1 is a little bigger than 3. So my answer is going to be a little bigger than 27. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Move my decimal over 1, and I get 27.9. So that tells me the area. 27.9 is the area of one of these triangles. But now I have 5 of these triangles, so I need to multiply this answer times 5. I'll let you finish that math to get the answer for the area of this entire pentagon. Okay. Again, you can pause at any point, rewind if you need to see something again. Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 3. See how many triangles we have. This triangle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this would be 8. So I have 8 triangles, just like we did up here, 8 triangles. Okay. Now I find the area of just 1, so I need to do 1/2 times the base, 3.3, times the height, 4. Okay, now in this case, I know half of 4 is 2, so 2 times 3.3 is what I'm left with, because I did the 1/2 times the 4 first to get 2, which is perfectly okay. Since it's multiplication, we can change the order. So now I need to do 3.3 times that 2. Move my decimal. There's 1 number behind the decimal here, no numbers behind the decimal here, so I'm going to move it over 1 when I get my answer. I know my answer is going to be about 6, but it's going to be a little bigger than 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is still 6. Move my decimal over 1, 6.6. So 6.6 is the area of one of these triangles. But remember, at the beginning of the problem, I found out there were 8 triangles total. So I take 6.6, the area of one of them, times the how many triangles I have. Excuse me. I'm going to let you do that math. But again, your answer is going to be between 6 times 8 would be 48. 7 times 8 would be 56. So your answer should be between 48 and 56. If it's not, you've put your decimal in the wrong place or you've done some math incorrectly. All right, let's look at number 4. 1, 2, 3. Well, here, I won't count them yet. Let me draw them first. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 triangles. So my area, once I find the area of one of those triangles, I'm going to multiply that by 10. That will be my last step. So let's find the area of just a triangle. Formula is 1/2 times the base, 3.9, times the height, 6. Again, in this case, I know what half of 6 is. Half of 6 is 3. So now I have 3 times 3.9. Do that math over here. And I know my answer is going to be between 9 and 12, because 3 times 3 is 9 and 3 times 4 is 12. I have one number behind the decimal here, no numbers behind the decimal there. So I'm going to move my decimal over 1 when I get my final answer. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 2 is 11. Move my decimal over 1, and I get 11.7, which is between 9 and 12. So that's good. Most likely I did my math correctly. So 11.7 feet squared, that's my area for just this triangle. But I have 10 of these triangles. So I'm going to multiply that times 10. Now again, I have one number behind the decimal here. No numbers behind the decimal here, so I'm going to move my decimal over one place when I get my answer. So this is just going to be 117 and add my 0 placeholder, 1,117. Oh, but what did I forget to do? Move my decimal over 1, so I get 117. And that's feet squared. Now, if you put 117.0 feet squared, that's okay. That's the same number. They have the same value. Okay, number 5. Let's see how many triangles we have. I'm going from the corners, each corner to the center, each vertex to the center. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 triangles. So once I get my area of one triangle, my last step is going to be to times that area by 8. So let's find the area of this triangle. So we have 1/2 times the base, 5.8, times the height, 7. I know half of 7 is 3.5, so then I do 3.5 times 5.8. I'm going to move that up here. Again, I'm holding this back. This is how many triangles I have. Now I know my answer here is going to be between 15 and let's say 24. So wider spread here, between 15 and 24 though. One number behind the decimal here, one number behind the decimal here. So I'm going to move my decimal over twice when I get my final answer. Move my decimal over twice. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24, plus the 4 is 28. Kiss that 8 goodbye. No hard feelings, 8. Hug it out. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry my 2 now. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. Add that all up. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Move my decimal over twice. So I get 20.3, which is between, what did I say, 15 and 24. Yep, right in between. Now, my last step, I take that answer of 20.3. I can just drop that 0 off at the end. If you leave it, that's okay too. It won't change your value. And I have to multiply that by the number of triangles I have. So I'll let you go ahead and finish that math, and that will be your final answer. All right, let's take a look at number 6. Stu is making a stained glass window in the shape of a regular polygon. It's a pentagon, so that means it's a 5-sided shape. Okay, just like number 2. Number 2 is a 5-sided shape. The pentagon can be divided into congruent triangles, so just like number 2, each with a base of 8.7, so instead of 9, this is 8.7, and a height of 6, so instead of 6.2, it's just 6. What is the area of the window? Well, you find 1/2 times the base, 8.7, times the height, 6. So you're going to get this answer. Once you get that answer, you're going to multiply that times 5, and that will give you your final answer. I'm going to let you do that math on your own, but again, if you need to, rewind, pause the video to help you set up the problem. Number 7, a dinner platter is in the shape of a regular decagon. Decagon has 10 sides. The platter has an area of 161. Okay, so they've given, it's a little different this time. Area is 161. A side length of 4.6. What is the area of each triangle? What is the height of each triangle? So they gave it to us a little differently, but that's okay. We still use the formula. Okay. So we have a 10-sided figure. That's like number 4. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to use number 4 as my model. I'm not going to draw another model. Why, when I already have one? Okay, this time it says the area, the whole thing is 161. Okay, so if we shaded in this whole thing, that would be 161. The side lengths of 4.6, so this base would be 4.6. But we don't know what the height is. That's what we have to figure out. Okay. So we have to essentially work backwards. Okay. So our formula for the triangle would be 1/2 times the base, which we do know the base. Again, with any kind of algebra problem like this, just start plugging in what you do know. Okay. Don't worry about what you don't know yet. Plug in what you do know. I do know the area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height, which I don't know. And then since this is a decagon, it would be times 10, right? That would be my last step, to multiply it all by 10. And I know once I do this, they've told me what the answer is going to be. It's going to be 161. So now I have an equation to work with only one variable. Well, now we've done this, so I'm going to work it out over here. My area is 161, so I plug that in for A. 1/2, because that's the formula for a triangle, 1/2 base times height. My base is 4.6, so that's where I got that number. Oh, I need even more space, don't I? Let me see if I can grab this and move it. Yeah. Okay, bear with me. You may need to rewind, but that's all right. My base is 4.6 times the height, they didn't tell me, h, times, there's 10 triangles. That would be my last step to multiply it by 10. Okay, so first I'm going to just start multiplying this side out. So I know half of 10 is 5, so now I have 161 equals, I use the half and the 10, 5 times 4.6 times h. Okay, now I can do 4.6 times 5. One number behind the decimal, no numbers behind the decimal. I'm going to move my decimal over 1. My answer is going to be between 20 and 25. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. Move my decimal over 1. So now I have 23 times h equals, and I still have this 161 over here. And now I'm finally ready to solve for the height. So I divide both sides by 23. Okay, that's going to cross that out, leave me with just h. And then I'm going to do my work for 23 into 161. Well, 23 is about 25, so I think of how many quarters do I need to get $1.61? Well, I'm not going to land on exactly $1.61, but if I have 6 quarters, I'll get to at least 150. And since this is a little less, I think it might be 7. And I also see that 7 times 3 is 21, which will give me a 1 in that ones place. So I think 7 is a good estimate to start with. Let's check. 7 times 3 is 21. 14 plus 2, 16. Perfect. So my height now, I've figured out the height is 7. So that's one of my questions. The height equals 7. But there's 2 questions here. What is the area of each triangle? Well, now that I know the height and I know the base, now I can solve for the area of the triangle. So area equals 1/2 times the base, which each base is 4.6. So times 4.6 times the height, which I just found was 7. I know half of 7 is 3.5. So I'm going to do 4.6 times 3.5. And that will give me my final answer. So I'm going to let you do this math. This is going to be the, so height is 7, and the area of each triangle will be this number here. All right, that was a tricky one. Number 7 was tough. A lot of steps to it. All right, thanks for having perseverance and grit and following along and getting through it. Remember, when you have a big problem like this, it can be very daunting, but just start plugging in what you do know, okay? Don't worry about what you don't know yet. Think about, okay, what do I know? I know the area is 161. I know there are 10 sides. I know the base is 4.6. I know my formula. I start plugging in those numbers into my formula, and suddenly I have something that I can solve. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.